One of the most crucial and least understood parts of the auction process today is that of the condition report. Condition reports are prepared on virtually every car that we have going through an auction, and it's of great service and peace of mind to the clients that are interested in buying cars. It's important for us to get it right and be completely honest about what we see. For a car like the example behind me, which is a 1930 Packard 745 dual cowl Phaeton, there's several specific questions that clients are going to need answers to, such as what sort of period accessories does it have? Is the engine original to the chassis? Does it have its original firewall tag? If I were doing a condition report on a post-war sports racing Ferrari, they're going to want to know things like, do we have specific information about competition history? Are there period images? Does it have its original engine, or has it been restamped? These are all important pieces of information that influence a buying decision. On the front of the car, we can see the Daphne at the Well radiator mascot, which is a very coveted accessory for a car of this era. We also have this beautifully chromed radiator stone guard, and also a pair of very desirable and innovative Pilot Ray driving lights, which actually pivot with the movement of the steering wheel. Of course, we would also check to make sure that the lights were functional as well as present. Looking down the side of the car, I can see that there's a set of dual side-mounted spare tires, on which are mounted the correct original Packard Seawright rear view mirrors. Just at a glance, I can tell that the chrome is in very, very beautiful condition. There's also a set of dual spotlights and accessory wind wings, which put together make a very desirable package for this car. The four-door open touring Phaeton is a very 1930s classic look, but what really enhances it is the presence of a second cowl with a folding windshield. This is what epitomizes the five-passenger sport Phaeton. Also from this stance, I can see the side of the car and see that the body preparation has been exceptional, great paint application, great condition of the top, which looks like it's never been down. I can tell that the engine bay of this 1930 Packard has correct fit and finish throughout. We have the bare aluminum of the crankcase, the correct Packard green on the engine block, cylinder head, and end of the starter housing, and also the correct glossy black finish on various other components. It's also important for me to note that the engine number is correct and matching for the chassis number, and that the underside has been finished in a way that is consistent with the fit and finish of the rest of the car. Now we're going to take the car out for a ride and see how well it runs and drives. These straight-eight Packard engines are really famous for being well-built, well-balanced, and quiet, and this car is turning out to be just that. It shifts really well, the transmission I can feel isn't crunching, and operates really quietly. Every one of these cars is a little bit different. It's important to keep in mind that they weren't built by the millions like cars are today. They were basically hand-built, hand-assembled, and you couldn't necessarily take a piece off of one and expect it to fit the same way on another one. But this one is just so solidly built, put together, really nicely restored. As I'm driving the car, I'm making note about the functioning of the lights, the gauges, all of the pieces that I can observe while the car's operating the way it should be. If something doesn't work, or I sense that there's going to need to be adjustment or reconditioning or service work done, I make notes so that the client has an idea of how much he or she might have to spend sorting the car out to their satisfaction once it arrives. The car just takes off so smoothly and the engine runs really quietly. When I say quietly, these engines aren't built to the same standards as a modern day engine, but back in their day, Packard engine blocks and cylinder heads were machined to much better tolerances. The metals used in casting those elements were of much better quality, and the balancing of things like the crankshaft were done to much higher standards than were common for lesser makes of car. If you've driven enough of these cars, you sort of have a sense of what's right and what's not right about how a car is running, and you get a feel for it, and this one feels really good. When doing a condition report, it's important to always keep in mind that the prospective buyer may not be as intimately familiar with these cars as the car specialist, so it's important to note things that they are probably going to know about, as well as things that they might not know about. For instance, this car has straight cut gears, and by nature of the way they're made, they make a little bit more noise than a helical cut gear transmission that came later on. And that's just part of the nature of these cars and the era that they were built in. And I actually like it myself. Now that I've taken the car out for a drive, I've got a really good overall feel for it. It's an older restoration, but it was done to a very, very high quality, and it's been well maintained since. All of the fittings and fixtures and finishes are correct and display really nicely today. The car has obviously been exercised regularly and mechanically maintained because there was really no issue when we drove it. All the gauges worked, the temperature was right where it should have been, engine ran quietly, it had plenty of power, the transmission shifted well. In order to produce a condition report, car specialists like myself will take a car out for a test drive, crawl underneath it, make notes, take photographs, and basically provide the client with every piece of information that should be crucial to influencing their bidding decision one way or another. This involves cosmetic condition reports, mechanical reports, documenting numbers and various bits and pieces that may prove to a car to be more or less authentic, so that the client has a peace of mind when they're raising their paddle about what they're really bidding on.